New Church.
Hello.
All right. How many people ran the marathon this morning? I see that hand.
I saw it.
It's kept a few people a little bit
We still have
late.
music going in our monitors.
Although I do want to play that one. Yeah. Let's go.
All right. We'd love for you guys to stand with us if you're able. Those of you at home, we miss you. We love you. We hope to see you soon. Lord, thank you for this morning. Thank you for gathering us together. We acknowledge your presence. May our minds be open. May our hearts be soft to what you have for us this morning. In Jesus' name. Lord, I don't want to rush on ahead in my own strength when you're right here. Lord, I don't want to rush on ahead in my own strength when you're right here. I'm not in a hurry when it comes to your spirit, when it comes to your presence, when it comes to your voice. I'm learning to listen, just to rest in your nearness. I'm starting to notice you are speaking. Lord, I wanna love like you, wanna feel where you feel, wanna see where you see. Lord, I wanna love like you, wanna feel where you feel, wanna see what you see. I'm not in a hurry when it comes to your spirit, when it comes to your presence, when it comes to your voice. I'm learning to listen, just to rest in your nearness. I'm starting to notice you are speaking. I'm not in a hurry when it comes to your spirit, when it comes to your presence, when it comes to your voice. I'm learning to listen, just to rest in your nearness. I'm starting to notice you are speaking. Open my eyes, I wanna see you more clearly. Open my ears, I wanna hear you the deep end. When I fall in, yeah. Bring me out in the light, God, to a wide open place. Set my feet on the dry ground. I'm dancing again. Oh, oh, oh. When I am hidden, your eyes see me. When I'm broken hearted, your eyes see me. When I am hidden, your eyes see me.
Your eyes see me. When I am hidden, your eyes see me. When I cannot lift my head, your eyes see me. When I am hidden, your eyes see me. When I call to you, Lord, you answer me. You answer me. When I call to you, Lord, you answer me. You answer me. When I call to you, Lord, you answer me. You answer me. When I call to you, Lord, you answer me. You answer me. Your eyes see me. When I am wandering, your eyes see me. When I fear I've lost my way, your eyes see me. When I am wandering, your eyes see me.
When I call,
To you, Lord, you answer me. You answer me. When I call to you, Lord, you answer me. You answer me. When I call to you, Lord, you answer me. You answer me. When I call to you, Lord, you answer me. You answer me.
pull me out of the darkness. Pull me out of my pain. Pull me out of the deep end. When I fall in, bring me out in the light, God, to a wide open place. Set my feet on the dry ground. I'm dancing again, I'm dancing. Pull me out of the darkness. Pull me out of my pain. Pull me out of the deep end. When I fall in, bring me out in the light, God, to a wide open place. Set my feet on the dry ground. I'm dancing again, I'm dancing. I'm dancing again, I'm dancing. I'm dancing. answer me when I call
To you, Lord, you answer me. You answer me when I call. To you, Lord, you answer me. You answer me when I call. To you, Lord, you answer me. You answer me.
Oh, man. Oh, that was so good. Good morning. I'm Katherine Johnston. I'm the teaching and creative pastor here at ANC, and I'm so happy to be with you all this morning. I have a few announcements for us, and we're doing things a little bit differently today, so we're going to hear from some of our community engagement partners in just a second. But if you're new, welcome. If you would like to get to know us and like for us to get to know you, you can fill out one of our info cards by going to this QR code or going to our website. Just a way for us to know that you're here and reach out if you want to ever grab coffee or a drink with one of us. We would love to do that. We also appreciate your generosity in giving so very much. It's the way that we're able to do what we do at ANC. And as you'll learn today, when you give to ANC, we also give to community partners who are doing the work of engagement and social justice in our community. So we're sort of a funnel for giving in that sense. Like, it not only enables us to gather as a community, it also enables us to do good in our larger communities. So some announcements, things that are coming up this week. I'm shaking this morning. I don't think I had breakfast. Does that ever happen to y'all? I get so shaky. I know. You never skip breakfast? Okay, that's going to be our turn and Greek question in just a second if you eat breakfast. It's bad. Anyway, Painted Churches Tour is this Wednesday, February 28th. It's not too late to sign up. That's this one. No. Sorry, I'm out of it. That's in 2 weeks. It's not too late to sign up. If you would like to, just email me at Catherine@austonnewchurch.com. And even if you want to just show up the day of, you can either meet us here at the church at 8 a.m. or meet us at the Chamber of Commerce. The Painted Churches are some churches that were painted by immigrants in like the 1800s around Schulenburg, Texas. So we're going to take a day trip there together, and it should be really beautiful. It's happening today after the service. We're going to have a tech team training, so if you signed up for that, don't forget to meet back at the booth. We'll have pizza for you, and then if you want to hang out after service for lunch, we're going to be going over to the community center just behind this building for a picnic on the playground. You can either, if you didn't bring your lunch, you can just DoorDash something or go pick something up and come hang out with us just for some easy community time, and if you have kids, they can play on the playground. And then coming up pretty soon on March the 3rd, we're going to have a volunteer fair in the foyer after service. This will be a chance for you to find ways that you can plug in and connect to our church body, ways that you can engage our larger community, and both inside and outside of ANC. So volunteer opportunities both in the church and in our communities at large. So speaking of that, today we're talking about one of our values, the value of engagement. And in just a second, Jason and Lamar are going to come up on stage and talk about sort of how we hold that value, how we live out that value in the life of our church, especially how we do it with our global community. But before we talk about that, I wanted to highlight two of our community partners that are here locally. And they've been longtime partners with us at ANC. Sort of, I think the thumbprint and heartbeat for engagement at ANC is that we don't go into a community thinking like we have all the answers and we know what they need. We view our role as partnering alongside with people who are already doing the work in their own communities. They are the experts of what their community needs to grow and thrive. And so our first is Santa Rita Apartment Complexes is one of the oldest low-income housing units in Texas. Miss Lupe has been a friend and partner with ANC for a long, long time. She's amazing. Like, truly an amazing person who knows her community, who advocates for them and works for them. So it's our privilege to come alongside her, and she sent us a short video sort of explaining what she does and what we do with her.
Hi, my name is Lupe Garcia. I'm president of Resident Council here at Santa Rita. I've met Trey Austin Youth Church for the past 7 years, and since then they have provided food pantry. They provided the back-to-school supplies for the children, the Chew Drive, the Christmas for kids. They also help with the Women's Conference, IMOUNS Conference every year. And it's been a pleasure working with them. Trey has always been our #1 supporter for Santa Rita. And I want to thank you, all the members of the Austin Youth Church, for providing all these services for all these years to us. And we appreciate everything you do for us. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Lupe, if you're watching. And in just a few weeks on March 3rd, you'll learn sort of what we're going to be doing with Santa Rita and with Ms. Lupe throughout the whole year to help support their communities. She mentioned the stocking drive, the back-to-school party. She puts on a conference for moms every year that we help her with. It's just the work she's doing in her community is amazing. The second one I wanted to highlight is Posada Esperanza, which is a community that helps transition immigrants and refugees who are fleeing violence. And this one in particular is for women and children, so moms and their kids. So take a look at this.
So a beautiful thing about being able to be a part of everything that's happening here at Posada Esperanza is seeing how we're holding open a space for the families that come through here. It's a lot like the butterflies. If you wanted to help the butterflies, you wouldn't necessarily hold them right in your hand. You would hold open a space, nurture their environment, give them room, give them some wind under their wings, and that's what we're hoping to do here at Posada Esperanza too. We want them to just have a safe place to be, build a supportive community, have a team of people to be a helping hand, and watch them soar. They're already on their journey, they're already strong and beautiful, and we get to bear witness and hold open a space for them.
So it's truly our privilege to partner with these organizations that are doing really, really good work in our communities. And you'll learn more about how we do that globally in just a second with Jason and Lamar. So if you would like to, stand now and find someone you don't know and ask them if they've ever skipped breakfast. Are you a breakfast person or not? Hi, online community. Good morning. I'm so glad you're here. I would be curious to know, what are some of the ways you engage your community where you are, or even globally? What organizations do you love? Sort of what tugs at your heart? What are you passionate about in terms of engaging the communities where you live and the needs in your community? It's so interesting how even though we're all connected to this body, we're spread out across the country and around the world, and it's neat to see what God can do with that. So I'm excited to hear, breakfast! Mark just brought me breakfast. Thank you, Mark. Anyway, we're going to hear from Jason and Lamar in just a second about how we can engage our community globally. So hope you're having a good morning.
All right. Let's jump in today. It's good to see you guys. I guess I wasn't aware that I have a Posada Esperanza tattoo. Did you guys know that? What a great, that's one of several. What a great metaphor for how to do mission. I might steal that, shamelessly steal that. I come from a place in Mexico where the monarch butterfly is winter, so it's kind of our symbol. So if you've ever met anybody from Michoacan, you would know by the monarch. Anyway, good morning. My name is Jason. It's good to be still not wearing socks even though it's cold. Heading to Chicago tomorrow to spend some time with my twins who turned 21. OMG. You would know them as the dog sitters and nannies of ANC. What they didn't teach us in seminary is how profitable it is to have lots of kids who watch dogs and kids in your church. Anyway, going to see the twins next week, or actually tomorrow. I'll have to figure out where I left my socks, Scott. I'm not sure. Maybe you can help me with that. I appear to be anti-sock. Actually, I'm not gross. I'm wearing socks. You just can't see them. So anyway, People ask me, that's nasty. I'm like, get your face out of my shoes anyway. It's good to be here. My name is Jason Ashley Morris. If we haven't met, there's an easy solution to that. You can go online on our website, and you can book a little time with me. I meet people at radio 2 days a week. It's been a real delight this year. Find me, and let's connect the dots, and let's get to know each other a little more. So we're going to do things a little differently today. As you can see, whenever you see turquoise chairs, some of you already know, you just start to wince, you just start to shudder, because that's when we're going to have a conversation. You know, nobody told us we have to listen to a preacher every Sunday, so y'all don't have to listen to a preacher every Sunday. We can do some conversations. Any amens in the room about that? I get so tired of being the person who has to stand up here sometimes and figure out how to fill empty space. With a congregation as bright as ours, I think there's a lot of ways to get off the page. Now, you'll know me, and I'm just going to be vulnerable for a second. I love words. I spend 20 hours a week at least putting these words together for you. I don't have very many today, so I'm a little bit nervous. But I feel like in 2024, I need to push off the page a little bit back out into some extemporaneous, I guess, dealings with the subject matter. Some interesting things coming for us. So we're still working through our series, and we'll often begin the year this way where we discuss our values. I think that should matter to one and all. And we've also, we've observed the lectionary, we observed the church calendar, and so we've been doing a conversation about our values while simultaneously dealing with sort of the journey of Epiphany. Well, if you're a liturgist at all, you know that something happened on Wednesday. What happened last Wednesday? Anyone know? Some of you are like, I don't know, all I know is about Tuesday, and I'm still hungover from Tuesday. Tuesday's Fat Tuesday. Get your party out midnight. They mop the streets of Mardi Gras because Wednesday begins Lent. So Ash Wednesday service we had right here in the middle of the room last Wednesday, and it was beautiful. One of the more beautiful things we've done. I think there were 40 or 50 of you here. Kind of shocked us. Catherine and I set up for 2 people, and then 50 people showed up. It's a great deal. But we are now in Lent, which is the 40 days march up to Easter, if you're familiar with the church year. And as you might expect, our values and the way those take shape and evolve over time is actually a changing thing. And the reason I say this is because some churches pride themselves in being unchanging, and I, for the life of me, can't figure out what's to be proud about if that's the case. You know, ANC has changed enormously over the years. If you guys don't take comfort in the fact that we're constantly morphing and molting and adjusting, I think you should think about that. You see, as contexts change, as people move and change and adapt, I think the church follows along with that. The gospel is not a fixed thing, you guys. So as we go through these values, again, it's always fun because what that means is we get to add a little more meat to the bone. Sometimes we get to take things away that don't no longer belong. It's a moving conversation. So my work today, as we have a little conversation with Lamar here in a second, is going to be to somehow intro Lent while we're also talking about our values, specifically how we engage empowering people around the world. So I'm going to read that second to last value on our website. Actually, it's the last one, and we've inverted them because of Lamar's travel schedule in mind. So we're going to talk about social justice next week. But let me read it to you as it appears on our website. And if you've been around a minute, you'll see how this has evolved over the years. It simply says this: one of our values is engagement. Some of you single people are like, amen, that's why I'm here. No, not that kind of engagement. We're talking about a different kind of engagement. Just to be clear, Chris, I just wanted to be clear. I don't want false advertising up in here. It says this: we believe our role is to activate our community to engage the work of love here and around the world. That's pretty dense, and it says a lot. So today, instead of a traditional sermon, we're going to have a conversation around that, and I think that's going to be fun. We're going to talk about our major global partner. We partner with lots of orgs, but one primarily as it relates to our global reach. But before we do that, I want to set the stage. And again, I'm doing 2 things at once. We're doing Lent and a conversation on engagement. You may recall that Lent is a great season of what? Fasting and repentance. If you look at the lectionary readings for today, they're pretty scary. You know, the day of the Lord and fire and brimstone and all these things, right? So it's fasting and it's repentance. It's preparing the faithful for Easter. I say this often. Nobody falls into an empty tomb on Easter. It's a process by which we have to get ourselves ready. It's the great feast where we celebrate the resurrection of the body. And I wrote in my manuscript the ideas, the immortality of the body. And Catherine says, do you mean mortality? Well, I actually mean both. So Easter shows us how the body goes through death to new life. If it doesn't tell us that, I'm not sure what it's telling us. But a word of caution when we're dealing with spiritual disciplines, and you could name them fasting, prayer, giving of alms in the old language, or living generously and giving to others. You could name a few others. We do these because Jesus both modeled and taught about these. But a word of caution when it comes to the spiritual disciplines. If you add them to bad ideas about God, they don't work. Now hear me out. Meaning if your ideas about God are undeveloped, and I would just say if your ideas about God are that he's angry or that he's he, or that they are upset or need someone to pay for something that happened or need someone to die in order to love, if your ideas about God are those, then the spiritual disciplines might end up pushing you face first into religious performance, if not outright religious legalism. Highly undesirable things, right? We don't pray or fast or give sacrificially to those in need in order to impress God or gain God's favor or gain God's attention or gain God's influence. Simply put, and I'm setting a foundation here, we fast to make room. We fast to declutter. Any minimalists in the room? Any minimalists grow up with mothers who collected everything collectible? I think that's why I'm a minimalist, yeah. We fast to declutter. The same is true for prayer as well as generosity as well as fasting. These are the tried and true ways that the church has always gone about making room in our lives for more of the good stuff. More love, more mercy, more forgiveness, more awareness, more engagement with those around us and around the world. And that's going to be our theme for Lent. But it's not going to sound like an invitation to torture yourself for some strange reason just to cause pain. Guys, if we're not making new room, we're not accomplishing anything, okay? I want you to hear me on that. Making space, that's going to be our theme as we move through Lent. Meister Eckhart, not to be confused with Eckhart Tolle, I confuse them all the time. Meister Eckhart said two things that fit this discussion well. These will come up over the next few weeks. Number one, the less we hold, the more we have. Does anybody not believe that? Have you ever truly felt the joy of giving something away where there was more room left in your heart than when you had that thing, that object, or whatever that thing was? So the less we hold, the more we give away. Number two, his second thought was, we grow by subtraction rather than by addition. Well, you want to unplug America? Tell Americans we have enough already. All of our jobs go away, friends. I hate to tell you that, except mine perhaps, but yeah. When we clear away or declutter our lives, friends, we experience new levels of openness, enabling us to see with clarity the stuff that really matters, the stuff that really is. So that's my little small introduction to Lent. Lamar, I'm glad I didn't wear a hat today, because nothing would look sillier than two white guys on stage with hats. The same hat, only different colors. How long have I known you, man?
How long have you known me?
Yeah.
Is this thing on?
Sounds like it.
I don't know. 10 years?
It's more like 11.
11?
Yeah. I'm counting the days.
Yeah, it's just creeping by.
Okay.
I have socks on, by the way.
You do? I know. I'm proud of you. Those boots are intolerable, though. I would never commit that.
My toes are closed in and safe.
Nice. Doing just fine. Not cold at the moment. So let's bring this conversation down to the value of engaging the work of love around here, around Austin, and around the world. And I want to pull something out of that sentence and draw your attention to it and let you sort of riff on that. When I say the work of love, joining the work of love around the world, notice I'm not saying the word mission. Now, as a career missionary growing up in the 80s and 90s, there's a reason I avoid that word. Mission implies somebody coming from somewhere else to teach people some other way of doing things that's more correct or more advanced or more developed. And I have sore spots around all of these things. Now, I've known good missionaries throughout my life, and I know your org from the bottom to the top. We've partnered with you since the very beginning, and I've been close to it since that time. Why do we steer clear of defining the work that you do and the work that we do through local partners? Why do we steer clear of the word mission in a traditional sense?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of baggage to that word, especially when we think of it from a systemic standpoint. But I love, the videos that we just saw, the Posada Esperanza video where she's talking about, we're just creating a circumstance or a space where these kids or these butterflies can learn to fly and do what they need to do. That can be real messy. But if you come in and you're like, this is exactly how you need to flap your wings and this is exactly how you need to fly because I know what works, that's a whole different thing, and you're probably going to end up with a lot of dead butterflies. I remember my wife's a teacher of the year. She just won. And several years ago, she did a whole, each year for a while, she did a whole monarch butterfly thing with her kids. And I remember one year they raised these butterflies, they did the chrysalis, they hatched, they're ready to take flight, and oh boy. It's a very controlled environment, right, that they've created. And they go outside, they open it up, they send them up, and every single butterfly gets picked off by a bird. And the kids are watching in terror as their butterflies that they've raised, get picked off one by one. But
that happened the year she didn't get Teacher of the Year.
She didn't win it that year. Yeah, I don't know what it was.
But that idea of creating a nurturing environment is what Patty said, I think is a much better metaphor, isn't it?
Yeah, and it is. And we can cause a lot of problems without even realizing we're doing it. And I think the other thing that we have to remember, I think as Americans, our mindset is very much like, you want to see results. You want to know what your ROI is. You want to know, like, if I do this, then what's going to happen? And I need it to happen relatively quickly. And that's not how real engagement, empowerment, partnership actually works. It can be pretty messy. You don't always control the outcomes, but they're real outcomes. When you try to control them, they're kind of false.
Yeah.
I remember the very first time I was in Haiti. So this was 2011. Jean-Alix Paul, who's one of the greatest leaders I've ever met in my life, we're walking through a rural community in the mountains, and I see this agricultural project off the road a little bit, and I'm asking him what it is. There's a sign that says USAID. So my American self and my first experience there is like, all right, we're doing some good around the world. And I ask what it is, and Jean-Alix looks at me and says, brother, you need to pray for your country. I was like, what do you mean? He said, those are coffee plants, but they've put them right out in the sun. And if you guys know anything about coffee, it's got to grow in the shade. More or less, it was a big project that they needed to use the funds that were allocated for this country. They needed to do something quick and show the results quick. But more or less, they knew it would fail. And not only that, but Haiti naturally has really incredible coffee. Well, this coffee was the equivalent of what we would use for Folgers crystals.
Oh, wow, you just did
And
that
so
with
it's
Folgers.
cross-pollinating
Yeah.
and ruining the local amazing coffee. So that's
Classic
a great example of let's do some good around the world, but let's not actually think about it. Let's not actually empower locals to do what they know needs to happen in there. Let's just get it done and move on.
It reminds me of a story growing up in Mexico where a particular stateside church got the bee in their bonnet that a particular other church they partnered with way down in rural Oaxaca needed a new building. So they came down and they built this building, and of course they had architects design this thing, and they decided that for the climate it needed a metal roof, which made it the only building within about 1,000 miles with the metal roof. So not only did they have to bring this stuff in, nobody had any idea how to repair it. That building sits empty to this day. And there's a church somewhere in upstate New York that feels very proud of the great mission they did, but it was so impractical, nobody even uses the building. So we do have a bit of a track record. I don't want to surprise anyone in the room, but we as Westerners, as an extension of the kind of Western certainty that says it's our job to go around the world and teach everyone about God, as an extension of that, like it or not, we are, however deconstructed we may be, however post-colonial we may be, we're still an extension of that. We have a track record of missing the boat because it's insulting after 1 million generations of people doing life the way you do life to be told that you're doing it wrong, do it this other impractical way. And so one of our values, and I want you to tell the story of Help One Now here in a second, one of our values as ANC is I will not partner with an organization that has a large footprint in the emerging world. Why? Because I don't want to be that kind of, because it's a miss on both sides. Number one, it's insulting to the locals. Number two, it's an enormous missed opportunity for us to learn how people are being faithful around the world. So tell us the story of Help One Now.
Real quick, sorry, an even bigger irony is that oftentimes as Americans or Westerners, our politics, our diplomacy has put some of these countries in the vulnerable position that they're in.
Yeah.
And then we come in as Christian missionaries and come in from the outside with our answers to these problems that really our government created, and we answer the problems incorrectly with our own kind of colonial mindset. And it's just this vicious cycle that we've created, and we pat ourselves on the back for a lot. You know,
In fact, let me just go deep into the bowels of my upbringing. I was taught that America is wealthy and blessed because it does missions around the world. Is anybody else taught that in the world? Any other homeschool kids rode broomstick ponies in homeschool Olympics and sorts of things? Hi, Britta. It is so good to see you, Britta. Britta, did you win the broomstick pony Olympics? Yes, you did. The Bible verse search. I was taught that America is blessed because we send missionaries around the world. So I'm not taking anything away from people who go and do good work, but I think there's a way to do that. And I think, as far as I'm concerned, and I'll just put this out there, you can make your own choice. As organizations go, one of the cleanest and leanest that I've ever seen is Help One Now. So tell us how it founded very briefly, and then bring us up to date on some ways that we might engage.
So Help One Now, our mission is to empower families in the developing world through partnerships with local leaders. So you guys saw an example of a local leader here with Miss Lupe on the screen. So we find leaders who are in their communities already helping their own people. So through partnerships with local leaders, and the solutions are community care, education, and business. So with those things, working through local leadership, we can actually help families pull themselves out of extreme poverty. So it's an empowerment-based model. And what I mean by some of those things, so we feel like the more kids we can get in school, the more we're investing in the next generation. A lot of what we're doing is generational transformation. So when a kid's in school, they are safe. Yeah. Their parents can go out and hustle and try to put food on the table. They are getting like their potential within them unlocked, and they're getting a hot meal every day. So it's even healthcare to a degree. And then the business side is we have a program called our Family Business Program. We're helping families start really small micro businesses. So it's a training program. It helps them see beyond the poverty mindset, but also some business 101 type training. The idea is to take them from surviving on about $2 a day to making $8 to $10 a day. And if you can imagine yourself all of a sudden making 400% more than your normal life, a lot of things change. And the first thing that we see happen is these families begin to look outside of themselves. Who else in the community can we help? Yeah. We've seen women take kids in off the street, put them in school. We've seen families start second businesses and begin to hire people. Yeah. And it just kind of spreads beyond what we can even track. And then the community care side, you know, there has to be little things that build up resilience in a community for any of this stuff to work. So if you have a bunch of kids going to school, but they don't have clean water in their community, they're going to be sick, they're going to miss school, it's not going to work. If you help a family launch a business and they have no access to medical care, you know, one thing happens and they can't get the care that they need and their business falls apart and you're back to square one. So you got to have a level of resilience. I'm learning this firsthand right now. Kevin, I see you out there. I'm trying to learn how to run. I mean, I know how to run, but I don't know how to run far. And I've been taking it seriously for 3 or 4 months now because I joined the Trail Goats. And what I'm learning is that you can do it the right way or you can do it Lamar's way. And I just decided like, oh, I can just go. And so I just started running really far.
How hard can it be, right? Just run.
And I went from, casually running like 25, 30 miles a week to running a month, to running 100 miles a month.
Yeah.
And evidently I was supposed to maybe like taper it up and build some resiliency slowly. But what I did was the American way. I came in from outside of the running community and decided, I know how to do this. And so my body is rejecting the process right now, and I'm having to take a step back and and it's really the same way with community development. You have to move slowly, you have to build some strength, some resiliency, and then you can bring in things like a business program and really see people begin to thrive.
So, growing up, I remember most of the money that was spent on the mission that we were engaged in or that we were around, the things adjacent to us, most of that money went to producing services like church services, like youth conferences and conferences for musicians and all of these things. It was all very much this arrangement. Lots of people watching, a few white people do things, right? One of the things I love so much, I was just in the DR. When were we there?
It was a while.
2 years.
2021 is when you were there.
Yeah, old men don't count time anymore. See, we just kind of let years slide by. Yeah. But it's been a hot minute. But a couple of things that I noticed first, right away being there. Some of the teachers in the school, and maybe you can tell us a story about the school here in a second. Some of the teachers were students. So they've come up through the system and they've stayed. They've gone on to get degrees and they've come back to work in those institutions. I noticed things like no one here is, you ready for this? Hang on, hold on to your seats. No one here is demanding there be a certain number of decisions of faith in order to justify an American investment down here. We're literally just involved in transforming a living space and neighborhood. So it goes from hydroponics to clean water to education to employment. We had ice cream at the little house of a family who had applied and acquired in a micro loan to start a little ice cream business. Not a big deal, but it's a little spot in the neighborhood where people go for, were you with me, Don? You were with me. It was pretty good ice cream, as I recall. And then we went to another lady's house where she's just converted the back part of her house into essentially a pottery or ceramic business.
So I was just there a few months ago.
And?
She has now, do you remember when we were there, she was saving up money to build a house?
A bigger space, yes.
So I was like, hey, can we go visit? I can't remember her name now, but they're like, actually, no, she built that house and she moved out of the community. She's doing really well. She's thriving. So yeah, anyways, there's your update.
So around our values of engagement, it's not a value to go tell the world how they might do faith or what they should think about God. It's a value of engaging with people in ways that we can to help them in whatever simple way, small footprint way we can to help them take that next move. So tell us some of the ways we can do that. Now, we do this as a church, so you may not know this. Catherine mentioned it today. Part of what comes through the general fund of ANC has always gone to Help One Now, always, since the very beginning, if I'm not correct. Mm-hmm. Help One Now was, Chris Marlowe gave birth to Help One Now as he was planting a church in Austin around when this church was planted. Chris Marlowe got a vision for a different sort of ministry around the world. They're involved in 8 different places, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 8 countries.
8 countries around the world, doing essentially the same upstream missional empowerment. So as he transitioned to doing that, we were just sort of like twins joined from the very beginning. So from the very beginning, part of what comes through here goes there. And I take that seriously because any org that receives our resources, I think in some way needs to not violate the values of this house. Now, I'm not going to be the person who goes and I remember this growing up in a big church in our capital city. There was a new pastor at the home church in New York that supported that church in Morelia. And apparently he had a different view for how ministry should be done. So he comes down, teaches a conference, and all of a sudden the entire church has to reconfigure around a new style of leadership because that's what the sending pastor thought was appropriate. When I say they represent our values, I don't mean we tell them what to do. I mean we wouldn't partner with them if they didn't. What that means for us as a progressive faith community is that our progressive culture isn't always an exact overlay with all of the cultures where we work. There are countries in the world where things are just different. They're done differently. And in those places, we work differently. We don't show up enforcing our sort of way to look at things. But tell us some ways that we can engage and get involved, specifically in the DR. But yeah.
Well, but sorry, real quick, just to add on to what you just said. We like to call it a post-colonial way of doing this community development work. So, like I said earlier, a lot of the issues that we're dealing with, the systemic issues that we're dealing with, are the after effects of colonialism. And then as an American church, our mission strategy has been a colonial mission strategy. And the reality is, there's no lack of intelligence. There's no lack of talent. There's no lack of competence. There's no lack of integrity, trustworthiness in the developing world. There's simply a lack of resources. Yeah. So we don't need to come in with our intelligence and our competence and our integrity and push that on people. We don't need to come in with our views on how things should be. We just need to realize that we have a whole lot and that we can bring some resources to the table, because at the end of the day, we're all connected.
That's the thing.
And when there's people around the world suffering and we're not doing anything about it, and there's a myriad of ways that people are suffering around the world and a myriad of ways that we can do something about it. We're just talking about one way right here, but we just have to realize. I went to a show opening in a venue opening in Birmingham, Alabama last weekend. We have a great group of supporters for Help One Now in Birmingham. I was there to support a friend of mine, Johnny. You know Johnny Grimes, opening a new venue. And I'm standing in line at the bar behind like 20 people. I finally get to the front, and I just order a drink. I think I ordered an old-fashioned, and it was $20. I was like, oh, man.
Welcome to Austin.
And I thought to myself, gosh, that's a lot of money for a drink in a plastic cup. And but all these people in front of me had just been, and there was a bunch of people in line behind me, and I thought, well, I guess it is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it. $25 will put a kid in school for 2 weeks.
And it includes not just school, it includes.
So when I say that, that's 2 weeks of a kid being in a safe space. That's 2 weeks of their parents being able to go out and hustle and provide for their family. That's 2 weeks of potential for that kid being unlocked. That's 8 meals. No, 10. There's 5 days in a school week. That's 10 meals, right? So more or less for what I got this very average drink, sorry, Johnny, if you're watching, I could really do some good. So I'm not saying don't spend money. I'm not saying don't enjoy life and do things. I'm saying find a balance, because a lot of times we don't even realize how much just a little bit can do around the world. And gosh, we have a lot. The NBA All-Star game yesterday had an LED floor. Like, I don't even, what is that? What's wrong with a wood floor? We just have so much.
Yeah.
What were we saying?
What were we saying?
You want me to say what we need to do, right?
Just ways to engage. So what you're suggesting is that resources as an extension of our values can unlock potential in the emerging world. Yeah. So, you could make this a conversation about generosity, and you could hammer away and say we need to be more generous. I think there's a nuance. Stan and I hung out a lot this past week, and he said something that interested me. He said, even beyond generosity, it's just a sense of responsibility. So here's an open question. You don't have to answer it, and we're not going to run the mic around the room for the sake of time, but what is our responsibility as Americans to emerging cultures around the world that are, in many cases, friends, like it or not, they're the direct result of colonial markets we've created for the products that they're labor markets or they're products markets. The conquest, I was taught in Christian school was over at some point. The conquest continues. It's cultural and it's economic. Maybe there's no standing armies on our borders like there were before. But what does it take for us to reconceive of what love does to us as a people that have resources? What's our responsibility? What's our responsibility to the immigrants flowing up 35 through our city, through Casa Marianella? What's our responsibility to Ms. Lupe, who is single-handedly leveraging a housing complex with 90 units or 90 families, something like that? And what is our responsibility to Haiti? What is our responsibility to the Dominican Republic? What's our responsibility? It's probably a better way to look at it. So as a community of faith, we're going to draw this to a close here. As a community of faith, you may have noticed we don't talk about money very often. We don't talk about resources very often. I served plenty of years in those ministries and have a particular allergy to front-of-room conversations around finances. Add to that the fact that our church tends to be younger, a little more professional, a little more educated than the places that I grew up, and those people tend to be even more allergic to church and money conversations in the same space. But friends, we have something we have to preserve. If we think that what we're doing is assembling a worldview in which we're recovering these terrible ideas about God and the world and the cosmos and the world we live in our bodies and all if we are actually doing that work, then I think the very next step is to say people need to hear this. People need to understand. People need to have a chance to see love active in the world in a different sort of way. So what is our responsibility? I don't know the answer to that. I know our responsibility as a church is to give sacrificially to ministries that extend that influence around the world. But an open question to you could be, what might your responsibility be? And I guess we're going to start having that conversation a little more intentionally.
Yeah, so, it's the last 3.5 years, the pandemic and post-pandemic era, I guess you would say, have been really difficult for a lot of faith communities, a lot of churches, a lot of nonprofits. Some have thrived and some have suffered, but we've also seen crazy things going on around the world. Multiple wars happening at once right now. People being, subjugated and mistreated, and political upheaval, and just all around the world, injustice kind of taking center stage. The kind of work that Help One Now does, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, it's not sexy. What we're trying to do is build resilience in communities so that they're not in a vulnerable situation where they can be really taken advantage of, and where just really horrible things come out of it, right? When people are forced into chronic vulnerability, we see what's happening in the Middle East right now. It's just not right, no matter how you slice it. And so what we're trying to do is build communities that can stand up to that sort of stuff. When you do poverty alleviation, it's kind of boring, but it kind of keeps wars from happening. It keeps trafficking from happening. It keeps all these really horrible things that exist in our world from happening in those spots. I wish I could say, let's put a plan together and just fix all of it, but we can fix it in certain spots. And it's been, you said we're a really lean, mean organization. We're leaner than I wish we were, and we've had to make a lot of hard decisions over the past 3 years. We've had to make a lot of hard decisions on stateside cuts that we've made and on program cuts that we've made around the world. And I hope that we're learning and getting stronger through this process, so when the tide changes, we'll be even better than before. Generosity is at a 30-year low in the United States right now. That's not okay. I'm not okay with that. Are you guys okay with that? And I know times are tough, but the other thing that I've learned from running is you can do a lot more than you think you can. On one of my second runs with these crazy guys that run on the trails at night, on Thursday nights, I was lagging behind, to say the least, and trying to get up this hill. And Alex Price, who some of you in here may know, he came back. He was probably already finished and came back and found me. And he's like, hey, man, you can do this. You can do more than you think you can do. And that's what I needed to hear. Because I was pretty much ready to, shoot a flare gun up and hope somebody found me.
For the record, I ran once with the trail goats, once. They broke me, and my feet still hurt. I'll never do it again. But I'm considerably older than you, young man, and most of them. But yeah. Just
a little bit.
Yeah.
So here's what we're doing today. You guys probably have one of these somewhere near you, but there'll also be a QR code up on the screen. And I believe that our church can support an entire classroom full of kids this morning. So think about 20 kids. There's actually 20 names on this card of kids who are part of our school in La Vega, Dominican Republic. And for $500, I'm not saying you personally need to give $500, but if you can, you should. For $500, you can cover the education of a child for an entire year. Okay? So that's 200 meals alone. $500, you can do 200 meals. That's worth it in itself. But you're also giving a kid an entire year of education. You're supporting a teacher who's earning a fair wage and taking care of their family. So I think we can do that this morning. 500 times 20 is $10,000. I think in this room we can raise $10,000. If you can give $25 and that's all you can do that. I think all of us in this room can do that. If you can give, I'm not done.
I wasn't
I
interrupting you.
thought you were about to say something. Just teasing. If you can give 250, do that. If you can give 500, some of you may be able to give in a way that others of us can't. And so I just encourage you this morning to consider what you want to do. I think there's no better way to start the season of Lent. Think about what you can not do in order to do this.
What a great segue. So you're saying make room, making
Make
space?
room, make space.
He's right on message, Catherine. He's right on
So,
message.
Jason's going to kind of transition us here, but we're going to do a song like we always do. This QR code's going to stay up there. You've got this card. Get on there and give. And if you want to give in some other way, if you're like, I'd rather donate stock, or I'd rather write a check, or I'd rather whatever, you can do that. Don't let any of that be a barrier. Just come find me. I'll be right here at the end of the service. Come find me. The other thing is,
I was hoping you would.
we want to go.
Yeah, let's go. Now that we can travel
ANC,
again, let's go.
I got involved with Help One Now because ANC did a trip to Haiti in 2011. And I was so moved by the posture of humility of standing behind local leaders and helping them accomplish their vision. I got to the end of the trip and I was like, I get it. I'm supposed to come and be inspired and give. Well, I was unemployed. I was gigging as a musician at night and taking care of my kids during the day, and my wife's a teacher. So I said, Chris, I'm broke. I don't have any money. What I did do is we canceled our cable. Cable was still a thing back then. And we gave that money. But I said, hey, man, I've got time. And so I began working with the organization and just grew with the organization. But ANC used to do a couple trips a year. And COVID kind of messed all that up.
Maybe it's time.
Jennifer Sines over here, raise your hand, Jennifer. She has led 3 educator training trips over the years to Haiti and the Dominican Republic and Peru. Maybe you've done 4 trips. I don't know. Not Peru. Anyways, she whispered to me as I was sitting down there, like, I'm ready to go back and lead a team of educators down there. We are going to do a trip with ANC folks to the Dominican Republic this fall. We don't have dates yet, but we want you to come join us. We want you to come see. Presence is important. We don't come in. We're not going to be putting a metal roof on a church. We're not going to be painting anything. If we do an educator training, it's going to be a partnership, a cooperation. We're going to listen more than we talk. But you're going to go, you're going to see, you're going to experience, and you're going to be changed. And you're going to build relationships with the people around you that will last a lifetime. And yeah, well, that's what we're going to do. So stay tuned for that. Yeah. Give today. Stay tuned for that. I know some of you already give, and I'll tell you what the goats told me. You can do more. You can do more than you think you can.
So this is not saying this is the only org in the world. Think you might grab your guitar now. It's not the only. I just have to give him instructions, because he wouldn't know otherwise. It's not the only organization in the world. There's probably dozens and dozens that are great. What I can tell you is that this one is good. And so this is where we partner primarily globally. So if your heart feels pulled in that direction, respond appropriately. Otherwise, join us on your feet. We're going to have another song here. We'll do the Eucharist, and we'll be on our way.
have lavished on me. Can I respond to the love that you have lavished on me? How can I respond to the love that you have lavished on me? I don't have much, I don't have much, but I have a heart that beats for you. I have a heart that beats for you. I don't have much, I don't have much, but I have a heart that beats for you. I have a heart that beats for you. And every part of me wants to love you like you loved me, Lord. Every part of me wants to love you like you love me, Lord. I don't have much, I don't have much, but I have a heart that beats for you. I have a heart that beats for you. I don't have much, I don't have much, but I have a heart that beats for you. I have a heart that beats for you. I don't have much, I don't have much, but I have a heart that beats for you. I have a heart that beats for you. I don't have much, I don't have much, but I have a heart that beats for you. 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 I have a heart. I have a heart that beats for you. I have a heart that beats for you. I have a heart. I have a life that lives for you. 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 I have a life that lives. I have a I don't have much, I don't have much, but I have a heart that beats for you. I have a heart that beats for you. I don't have much, I don't have much, but I have a heart that beats for you. I have a heart that beats for you.
All right. Thank you, Anna, for positively impacting this rascal group of guys that you make them sound almost really great. What would the Sunday be without a comment about music? You can tell I'm a tortured musician who just would rather be playing what Billy's playing right now. Y'all, let's be bodaciously, outrageously post-colonial. What do you say? Anyone want to join me in that? Let's figure out new ways to do things. Let's be post-evangelical, post-missional, post-colonial. Okay, ready? Close your eyes, because if I say this and you get mad, that's on you. Anger is always going to be your issue to solve. Let's be post-American in the emerging world. Can we do that? Tara said yes. Board approval. All right. Trey, at this point, is in Latin America right now. Trey, be a good American down there. Seriously, Trey, wherever you're at. No, he's not watching. Let me lead us in the Eucharist, which of course is that great, they do it in Haiti too. They do it in the DR too. They gather at the table and they acknowledge that they have a place there too. So let's do the Eucharist in solidarity with those we engage with around the world. Almighty God, to whom all hearts are open and all desires are known, where could we hide from your love? So remind us today of our cleansing, which is a completed work by your Spirit, that we may perfectly love you as you perfectly love us through Christ our Lord. And Christ, our example and friend, invites each of us, each of you, to a place at a common table that's set only for you. As you wholeheartedly seek to live and walk in love and peace and justice and good quality advocacy and good engagement of poverty and empowerment, as we seek to do those things, let us turn our hearts to God now completely and with the following confession. Just say these words with me. Merciful God, we believe that you accept our heartfelt confessions today. Knowing you to be gentle and kind even when we are not, we confess we have been distracted, at times lacking in love. We have failed to love our neighbor as ourselves because we have failed to love ourselves as you do. So forgive us, we pray, and free us to be a people of peace through Jesus Christ our Lord. And for the sake of time, let me give you hand motions as to what they did that Thursday. He gathered his friends, he lifted bread, he broke it, and he says, that's my body. Then he lifted a cup and he drank it, and he says, and it's for all people. So let's pray these final words, and you know how to do this. Around the base of the stained glass, there's an element. Grab it during the next song. Take that when you're ready. Let's say these words. Our Father and Mother who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not to temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Oh, worthy of every breath we can ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever breathe. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one you could ever
worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you.
Oh, we live for you.
Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes and wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes and wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me.
I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken.
I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. There is no one like you. There is none beside. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Lead me in your love to those around me. Lead me in your love to those around me.
You guys are the best. It just really is. It's so special getting to be here, getting to be a part of this, be a part of this. This has been almost 5 years now. This is crazy. That my wife and I, we started coming to church here probably 2018, a little bit before that. And we got to be a part of it for a year before I got to be a part of this. And there's something special about getting to be a part of the music at your church. As a person who's spent most of my life as kind of the vagabond church musician at all my friends' churches, there's something different about being here. Today I got to write the benediction for us as well. To my beloved, well-pleased and unashamed. Hibernation implies a movement, waiting but walking, a preparation for the slowness, allowing a cocoon to form, cells active even when the eyes remained ignorant. As we set aside a season of silence, of rest, of replenishment, in order to activate a revival, a new spring, an awakening, but not exactly the one we were told to hope for. Let us hope for something grander, more divine, more wonderful in its wandering. Wearing your weariness and sharing your wariness, so sometimes the rest of us can carry your cocoon with gentleness. So engage with disengagement, fast slowly. Prepare for a paring down where the ends justify the begins. Take this time to recognize the wild beasts in your life, as well as the angels that wait for you. May this good news actually be good news for everyone, but also for you. Yes, you. Now take a deep breath with me and say it out loud, but also for me.